Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 185. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is The Butterfly Effect. The Aussie rock band are releasing their first full-length record in over 14 years later this week, which is entitled 4. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontman Clint Boge about the long break between records, how their songwriting has evolved, and returning back to the road after COVID. Here we go. Our guests today are an Australian rock band from Brisbane. Having formed in 1999, they won over fans for 10 years before releasing their last studio record in 2009. Now, 14 years later, we're finally receiving a fourth record from the band, aptly titled 4. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours from The Butterfly Effect, Clint Boge. Hello.
Hello, my friends. How you doing? How you doing?
Doing very well today, Clint. How are you today, mate?
Yeah, good. Feeling the vibe. I'm feeling good. I did a hard out gym session on my legs this morning, and I hobbled out like an old man. And in that moment, I realised that I may have gone a bit hard. So to all those people out there that will know the feeling, tomorrow I will not be moving whatsoever.
I think that's what I always find is after going and focusing on the legs is that it's always that next day of whether the legs are going to agree with me or whether they're not, and whether you're falling out when you get out of bed or whether you're okay.
100%. I had trouble getting into the car this morning, and that was before I did legs. So, yeah, I'm going to be in trouble.
I have my fingers crossed and my prayers said for you for tomorrow morning, Clint, so all the best for tomorrow.
Thank you.
It is a very exciting time for you at the moment. Later this week, we have a brand new record from The Butterfly Effect coming out. It is 4, or IV in Roman numerals, but congratulations, mate, because firstly, this record is brilliant and huge sounding, massive.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a very creative effort on behalf of the band to come up with the album title. Let me tell you, it was we agonised over it. To which Benny, our drummer, just said at the end, he's like, "Why don't we just call it 4? But we'll write it in a Roman numeral style so we're a little bit cooler." And we went, yeah, okay, that'll do. Because there was arguments. We were kind of like, everyone wanted their title to be the album title. But it's funny, the artwork is the bullet, and it's quite stark. And the way that Benny was sort of explaining it was like, is it the silver bullet? Is it the cure-all? Is it something that's going to cure your ills, or is it the thing that's going to end you? And I was like, man, that's really cool. I thought that was pretty cool. And when everyone hears that intro, it's almost like a gunslinger coming into town. That's when I heard it, I kind of hijacked it because it wasn't supposed to have anything on it. And I snuck into the studio and laid that track, the whistle track down, and put all that other stuff behind it. And Kurt was like, "Man, you hijacked the intro. It wasn't supposed to have anything on it." And I was like, "Oh man, come on. You can't leave that to me. You just can't. It's the way. It's what's going to happen." But yeah, we're really excited. We're really stoked with the album. We think it sounds amazing. Forrester Seville, our producer / mixer extraordinaire, has done a fantastic job. We're very very happy with that. I think a lot of effort went into the sequencing of the album, like track to track, because we wanted it to be almost like theatre. We want it to be like a mini movie. So each song represents like an act and or scene in the movie, and it progresses, from track to track in a sort of theatrical style. And that's how we imagined it. So I think Kurt went through like 20 or 30 different combinations of how those songs were going to sit. We knew what we wanted at the start and at the end, but it's the middle. And I still hold to the fact on Begins Here, our first album, I'm like, man, we put Always in the wrong spot. This is one of those things. So it is something we're very mindful of.
Of course. Well, firstly, I would agree. It is very grand, and I would say cinematic in scope. It is almost like a what is it? Like a novella. Like there's lots of. It's a telenovela or novella. Where there's lots of little stories, but in a very cinematic kind of way that you've thread throughout. And I think I'm glad that you've done the track listing the way that it has landed, because I think you've done a perfect job with that as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, because, a lot of effort goes into that sort of stuff. And I think it's interesting the way that because I've got two teenage boys, my sons live with me, and it's interesting watching them digest music these days, where it's more single-based. And I've noticed a lot of the songs are actually getting shorter. So they were playing me like, Juice WRLD and Triple X Tension and those guys. And there's tracks on there for like 1:35, 2 minutes. I was like, wow, it's interesting, because the underlying melody only changes like once. Do you know what I mean? So whereas in sort of popular rock music or popular, contemporary music, it's A, B, and C. We use those like three formats. It's like verse, chorus, middle section, and we just rotate those around. But yeah, it's interesting. We had visiting hours was originally like that used to be like 6 minutes long, and it used to roll through a various format changes or like sequencing, or, as the arrangement. And then we had to cut it down just because we were falling asleep by the end of it. We were kind of like, there was another chorus, there was an extra verse, there was a middle section that went double the length. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's
definitely something that I kind of wanted to raise, because what you've just mentioned, the musical landscape has definitely changed in between this record and the last record from the Butterfly Effect. That last record was The Final Conversation of Kings. I believe it was 2008 that record came out. So it has been a while between drinks for yourselves, and obviously the musical landscape has changed maybe even 2 or 3 times from then. I guess firstly, coming back after that time, what was that feeling like, going, yep, let's put the band back together and get back into this?
Yeah, frightening, horrifying, terrifying. I think because, like you say, the musical landscape had changed so dramatically since last time we'd released an album. I mean, you don't have to wait as long to get a Tool album as you have for a Butterfly Effect album. That's saying something, and that's crazy. And that wasn't on purpose, by the way, everyone out there. No, that wasn't.
You guys just had to show them up.
14 years. We've changed a lot, obviously. The musical landscape's changed a lot. The listeners have changed a lot. Everyone's grown and aged and matured. So a lot of the people that were listening to us, back in the day have now got kids that can come and see us. Do you know what I mean? So, and which is interesting, because one of the guys has been a long time fan, he was like there at the very beginning, and he brought his a kid along to watch one of the shows, and it was amazing. There's that generational gap bridged, but also it was like a time machine for some people when we came back. And we were very excited and really encouraged by the amount of love that we got when we came back. Judging by the shows, a lot of them sold out, so that was really cool. So I think the natural next progression was to produce this album, and we went back through all the hard drives that we'd had since 2008, 2009, off the back of what we did with Final Conversation of Kings, and Visiting Hours was song number 2 in the sequence of demos written straight after that album. So we had a lot of the stuff already written, and we just cherry picked like all the best stuff or riffs that we really liked. I think only a couple of new songs were written for this album. And I really wanted to make sure that there was something on there, like the heavier songs like So Tired and Nil by Mouth are really reminiscent or could have been quite at home on the EP or Begins Here. Maybe, yeah, in slightly different format for Begins Here, but they were kind of really gnarly and big and blustery. Whereas some of the other songs like Visiting Hours could have been on Final Conversation of Kings. So, and that was lucky that we had all of that because, coming back, I was like, man, what are we going to do? But because we had links back to that time, it felt a little bit easier to make that transition.
I was going to raise this because, that song from my research found out that it was written not long after that last record came out. And I guess when you're going back and looking at all these things that you've previously created or done that didn't, for whatever reason, quite make the cut, I guess with the luxury of hindsight, with time, what was it about Visiting Hours and some of these other tracks that kind of stood out now and made them, I guess, I don't want to say worthy of revisiting or retooling, but I guess, was there a process that you went through in listening to some of these songs and going, yep, this is still us? And was there some songs that you're like, we didn't do these for a reason?
Yeah, 100%. That's a great question. Absolutely. I think we chose the songs that really resonated with us like now in the moment, and so I guess if they still resonated with us now and they were written in 2008-9, then we knew that they were keepers. Whereas some of the other songs we listened to and there was a few songs I was just sitting there going, we might leave that one in the in the archive room on the cutting floor. But yeah, man, that's exactly right. So that's how we did it. We just really listened to what we had, and if it still made us feel a certain way or it was a link back to that time, then it was given a green light to be worked on for the album. And I think we only worked on maybe one or two songs more than we would have needed that didn't make this round. But in saying that, we do have about five demos in the bank for the next album. So I said to the guys, I really want to turn around rather quickly so that, the fan base that we're rebuilding and re-engaging old fans, we're not leaving them hanging for any longer than maybe 12 to 18 months. Because I think it's that trust factor, and we like in that rebuilding phase, it's so important for a band to make sure they tour an album properly and put all of their PR behind it, their full weight, but also back it up with another release. So there is talk about doing an EP or really like putting the foot to the floor and maybe doing another album. But I think an EP would be, probably more the go.
Okay, you can do this.
I know. Carvana makes it so convenient to sell your car. It's just hard to let go. My car and I have been through so much together.
But look, you already have a great offer from Carvana. That was fast.
Well, I know my license plate and VIN by heart, and those questions were easy.
You're almost there. Now to just accept the offer and schedule a pickup or drop-off.
How'd you do it? How are you so strong in letting go of your car?
Well, I already made up my mind, and Carvana's so easy.
Yeah, true. And sold.
Go to Carvana.com to sell your car the convenient way.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
That's very exciting, regardless of what that end product ends up being. I know that there's quite a few people who are very excited about, just the prospect of new music from yourself, as you mentioned before. I think there were friends of mine that were in their mid-20s when that last album came out, and one in particular who I won't dox in public, he's about to turn 40 soon, and I know he's still very excited regardless of his age. So it's very exciting to hear that there is a continuous kind of stream of new music coming from you guys in the band.
Yeah, it's a good vibe, man. I think that's the thing that really struck me is the vibe in the band room has never been so good. I think we're just getting on better than ever. There's a level of respect and trust that has really come to life since we've gotten back together, and I think we've all matured. There's, that enough water has flowed underneath the bridge. I think because everyone's had kids, everyone's had to have day jobs to support themselves, whereas, we were just 24/7 musos before the break. And, that coupled with relentless touring across Europe and into America, it killed us. I think we just spent too much time together. So, yeah, it's really exciting to have this new prospect with new music and new touring, and there's a new life in the band, there's a new respect. It's good times all around. And, like, COVID's over, the venues have opened up, people are coming back out, so it's like, let's go.
100%. Without getting too far into, because it's purely no one's business except for the band, so I don't really want to talk about the specifics of why there was a break. But I guess, do you remember having the conversation of, guys, maybe we should get back together, maybe it is time to rejoin each other back in the studio?
Yeah, man, look, I think after all that time of just being in each other's faces for so long, it got to a point where I needed to take time out for my mental health, because everything was just falling apart around me. There was stresses in my relationships. There were stresses with the band, it was putting pressure on everything. So it was this, cascading down and flow on effect, to where mental health was more important. And I think that's great that we're talking about it more and more, especially men are talking to each other more openly about it. And it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to talk about it with your nearest and dearest, or, find someone to chat with. But yeah, that journey through that, to take the break and to realize that there was that it was broken, but to come back and to have that moment where, we, Kurt and I went to the same gig. It was a Dead Letter Circus acoustic show at the, New Valley Globe Theatre, on that fateful night in 2017, and just to have that interaction with him, it was really good. Like, we just hugged it out. It was like, hey man, yeah, that's really good. But yeah, sending that email was nerve-wracking. Like 2 weeks later, I was wrestling with it. I was like, do I put it out there to try and get the band back together? But the response was overwhelming. And then once we had that initial get together, all of us, there was you could feel the chemistry was still there, but there was a new respect, and there was a new want and a new energy to go forward and make new music. But yeah, it was all under the proviso. Curdy was very strict. He said, look, if the tour doesn't go that well, if we don't get along, there'll be no more new music. So luckily, everyone was on their very best behavior, and we got it across the line. So that's, it's a real journey. It's an amazing story, from like 1999, when Ben and Kurt were at school and they were jamming together and they formed the Butterfly Effect. And then when I came on board in 2000 to losing their original singer, and we lost a bass player, and I got Glenn in. It's an amazing story, and one which a couple of people have bugged me about and said, have you ever thought about writing some kind of book about it? Because I'm sure there's some great stories, and we've got tons of debaucherous, not PG rated stories. Let me tell you, it involves everything you could think of. If you can think of it, it happened. So yeah, there might be something in that. Maybe for the next album, we'll accompany it with a memoir, so to speak.
I know we said we look forward to whatever product that comes out, whether it's an EP, but that memoir has now gone to the top of the list in terms of looking forward to what we can expect to see from the Butterfly Effect. As you mentioned, the tour that had you guys back on the road went very well, and that is why we've been graced with new music. At the end of September, you are heading back out onto the road this year, I think with Thornhill and one or two other bands. I guess having these new songs now, taking these new songs out onto the road, getting kind of tour ready, album ready, how are you guys feeling about getting back out and playing these songs in these beautiful venues?
Yeah, it's exciting, but it's scary at the same time. I think because we're very hard on ourselves, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to perform and to deliver a great, energetic show, which is exciting for everyone to listen to, but also it has those peaks and troughs and those, you know, crescendos and the diving down into the depths sort of thing. Trying to sequence a set of songs together, but not bore anyone. So we're quite mindful of that as well. That's always difficult. I think we've got a pretty good set. We played it the other night in the band room, which was actually pretty good for a first run through. Look, Thornhill, they're a great young new band that's exciting people. They've done tours through Europe and America. They're in America at the moment. They're doing great things. We got Caligula's Horse. They're going to open. They're a great melodic heavy rock band, which are going to be exciting to watch. So it's a great bill. We've really thrashed our production manager to create something exciting, you know. But I think, like, when you're standing in a room full of like-minded people that are there for the same reason, to enjoy music, to be a part of a community, to be connected to one another through a common love, I think that in itself is, you know, worth half the price of admission. And then you get to watch three great bands do their thing, and you get that little bit of time machine from the Butters. You know, you get the new music that you've never heard from Caligula's Horse and Thornhill. It's really all-rounded. You know, you get to have those moments with your friends. You get to catch up with people you may not have seen. It's a real community. I love being a part of it, and I think it's one of the great privileges of being a musician, especially in Australia.
100%. It is again, as I mentioned, I know a number of people who are looking forward to coming to see you guys. Was there anything, I guess, over COVID or over the last 18 months since you've been able to tour last that you have really missed about kind of being on the road? Sometimes it's not the greatest place to be, but sometimes there are some pros to it. Is there anything you specifically, Clint, have missed?
Yeah, just being in front of people, just that interaction, that human interaction. I know a lot of people that really struggled with their mental health just because of that, because of the lack of interaction and that kind of being locked down. I know that other states had it way worse than Queensland. I think we got off pretty lightly. So it's getting back in front of people. It's jamming with the three guys, you know, on stage with me. It's getting to hang out with our crew, who we really love, who are amazing people. It's getting to sleep in cheap hotels again. It's getting to eat bad food again. It's getting to, and then wondering why you wake up with, like, you know, not feeling great. But it's all of that kind of stuff. It's get in the van. Let's go. You know, it's airports. It's bad food. It's catching up with people you haven't seen before. It's great, man. I love it. And I think that's why we do it. You wouldn't do it, honestly, you would not do it any other way. And if you didn't love it, you shouldn't be in it. So there you go.
Agreed. I think the bad backs, the sore stomach from whatever kind of servo food you've had earlier in the day, it's all worth it at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Clint, lastly, we would usually ask our guests what they're currently listening to, if there's anything that's kind of on high rotation for yourself at the moment.
Absolutely. I've been sounding like a broken record. I love Spirit Box, Sleep Token, Bad Omens, Polaris, been smashing those guys. And now I'm back in the gym. It's anything heavy, anything, you know, that's exciting. There's so much great music around. It's crazy. So, yeah. It's those four bands right off the top of my head. The new Thornhill album. What else? Oh, jeeps. So much. And then I'll like swing back to, you know, I'll listen to Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne albums, and, you know, I'll sail through that. And then like I'll flick to classic FM sometimes and just listen to that because it's soothing. Because you can't listen to Slayer for 8 hours of the day, man. You got to have something nice to break it up.
Earlier, very quickly, earlier in the chat, I know you mentioned your two sons and some of the music they listen to. Do you find that there's anything from current day that is not inside of the kind of rock realm, maybe more, not necessarily Juice WRLD, but is there something that you find that you learn from them or that they give you kind of recommendations?
Oh, man, yeah. So my son's a big Sticky Fingers fan, massive, and I found them through him. And I think they've got some great songs, some great music. We got a chance to meet them, and they were really nice to us, so I was very thankful for that. But yeah, Sticky Fingers. Another one was, What's oh man, he's going to kill me. We played it the other night. He was loving that one. Oh, I can't think of the band's name. They're going to. Oh, that's terrible. But yeah, he's showing me a bunch of stuff, and he's also, my eldest son's playing guitar, so he'll come out and say, "Dad, I learnt this song," and it's great. So there's music is alive and well. We're passing the torch on, so to speak, and it's great. We love it.
That's awesome to hear. It's always lovely to hear when there is, I guess, music being passed down through the generations of the musicians that we're speaking to.
Awesome. Love
Clint, thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate it. Congratulations on the album 4. It is out later this week from The Butterfly Effect. But yes, Clint, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Clint Boge and The Butterfly Effect for their time. 4 is out this Friday, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record or see them on tour. We also want to give a huge shout out to Fiona at On The Map PR for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the Players profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.